Let's go to YouTube. RX back at it. No, today I'm gonna be building on names that our ancestors used and throughout, the colonial period, the colonial times. These names could be misleading because when you're doing your genealogy, you could mistake. You could you could really mistake that your ancestors came from Europe when they really didn't. You know what I'm saying? It's just because of the assimilation. Not saying they didn't, you didn't have ancestors from Europe, but in most cases, the fact is that a lot of these names were our ancestors got these names through assimilation, and I'm saying through colonization. They rather adopted these names or were given these names through enumeration or censuses, and I'm saying was a part of the whole process of um, paper genocide and ethnic cleansing, all that stuff. And I'm saying, so you got to factor in all these things when you're doing even your genealogy. And I'm saying, um, you could be tricked to thinking that one of your ancestors came from Europe when that wasn't really the case. And I'm saying, it could be that a colonizer came and met with your people, or force your people to labor with them and gave them their names, their surnames, and I'm saying, are the name of their plantation that they set up. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, let's get to it. I'm gonna start with over here. This side here is very interesting. I mean, it's talk about Australia, the Aborigines in Australia, but when you check it out, it's similar to what happened worldwide. All right. So I'm gonna dig on it, right? So let's go. Indigenous names. Names are a real challenge in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander family history research. Many names may be used throughout a lifetime. Your ancestor may have used or been known by many names throughout their life. A traditional name, a kinship name, a European first name or surname, sometimes the name of the pastoral station where they worked. Okay, that's what I'm talking about. Now, if you're people, this is what you gotta try to do. Okay, any location if you're doing your genealogy and you see your people in a particular location for as far back as you could go, most likely that's where they were when the colonizer met them. And I'm saying, so you gotta figure out what was the name of that, pre-colonial name of that era before the colonizers were there. What did your ancestors call it? I know it's gonna be difficult, but in most cases that's what happened. Because remember, we were colonized, and I'm saying things change. And I'm saying, I remember you had the Spanish, then you have the um the Brits, right? Even the French, Portuguese too. So remember, I was showing you in previous videos on that the laws of Jamaica that they renamed the Indians, right? They registered the Indians. So you think they gave the Indians their indigenous names? Hell no. They gave them the names that they chose. Okay? So bear that in mind too. Okay? All right. So their name may also have changed with marriage, partnership, adoption, or foster. As I said, yes, our people intermarried with the Europeans as well. It happened, okay? It did happen. But for the most part, I'm telling you, they were given these names. You know what I'm saying? They were given these names. These names are not indigenous names for our people, okay? Through missionary Christianity, a lot of conversion was going on. Remember I told you about the encomienda system? Yes. Pay attention, people. It was common for people to use names that were different from the names they were given at birth. Even today, family members might use a name that's different from one listed on official documentation. For example, Vera Lillian at birth might have been known as Lillian, Lily, 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 and Lily. See, all those are different spellings. Or a woman known as Mary Jane throughout her life might have been Janet May at birth. Like my great grandmom, on her birth certificate, that wasn't the name she used throughout her life. You know what I'm saying? So, but on her record, she was given her name was different from what she used throughout her life. Okay, these things happen. Sometimes people chose to change their names and use different names in different circumstances, but often names were changed by employers or missionaries, or when a child was removed to a foster home or training institution. Indigenous people performing rodeos or boxing tents may have been given stage names. In your family history research are highly likely to find a range of different names for the same person. You will also probably find some unexpected variations in the spelling of names, especially in older documents. Yes, that's true. Now, up here where it says, but often, sometimes people were, let's see, often, often names were changed by employers. So I'm saying, our missioners. So I'm saying, so the church, man, when our people got converted to Christianity, when they accepted their gods, they got Christian names. Okay, bear that in mind. That's why I say you gotta pay attention to the location of your lineage. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to where they were at the time when the first your first documentation was created. Most likely they were named after the cacique or the chief of that village or clan. You know what I'm saying? Of that area. So if you could go pre-colonial and research all that information, that would be good. You know what I'm saying? Spelling mistakes. You will find that some of the problems with names are caused by spelling mistakes. Until very late in the 19th century, few people could read and write, and names were often written down as they sounded. So they went with sounds. Result was a lot of errors. Indigenous names were written down in different ways by different Europeans. You hear that? So it based upon their language that they were speaking, right? So, for example, an English station manager and a German missionary would spell the same indigenous name differently because they spoke different languages themselves and heard uh, indigenous language through the filter of their own language. So so they go by the sound, right? And they put it down on paper based upon its sounds, and they determine how to spell it. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta pay attention, man. This thing is foreign to us, okay? These caste systems are foreign to us, okay? So if you see right here, so for example, Chas for Charles, J for George, and WM for William. I'm saying that was some of the examples. But check down here. Key points to remember as you research your ancestors. Sometimes the only recorded names we have for Aboriginal people, particularly from the 19th century, are nicknames or joke names given to them by Europeans. So it was always given, you know what I'm saying? That's what they call it, given names, right? If you look on your document, say given name, okay? For example, Little Jack, Old Mary, and Billy Boy. All records sometimes include terms like native or aboriginal or aborigine alongside the name of aboriginal people. However, beware that the word native was also used on official certificates such as death certificates to indicate that a non-indigenous person was born in Australia rather than having immigrated from England or Europe. So the the descendant of a European uh, there would be considered a native. This is why you got to be careful with this word native, man. Okay, a native could be anybody. They may also include caste terms like full blood, half caste, quarter caste, quadroon, octoroon, derogatory categories used to indicate the amount of Aboriginal heritage a person had, and this is a part of the ethnic cleansing. This is a part of your water plecker eugenics movement. All right. Now, over here, many Aboriginal people are known by a single common first name and no surname. So it was the same over here. We had no surnames. Okay, these surnames was given to us. For example, Nellie, Jenny, and Lizzie for women, and Bobby, Jimmy, and Charlie for men. Okay, surnames were often assigned by European employers, and Aboriginal people were sometimes given their employer's surname. So as I said, remember the encomienda system that I was telling you about. This is what happened. Okay, forced assimilation. Okay, or it could be indentured labor too. Okay, some surnames were derived from the names of rural properties or places of residence. Some indigenous people adopted aliases to avoid control by police and government. Now, this is why it's important to know to name yourself. All right, because when you name yourself, no one could control you using that with the name we create for yourself. Okay. Women often use the surname of their male partner or husband and were known by many different names. Children often use surname of a stepfather. Now, this is where you gotta be careful on the genealogy because who you think is your father could be actually your stepfather, okay? So you gotta always check the marriage records, you know what I mean? See the time and date they you know, your mom got married, your pops got married, you know, both ways, you know what I'm saying? Names differ in documents because they were being recorded by different people. The spelling of names on early official documents such as birth, death, and marriage certificates can vary depending on who was giving the information, who was writing the information down, and how neatly or accurately, which they never did. They recorded the names, right? And these are just variations of what, they did, you know what I'm saying? Like these are names that was given through the workstations, right? Now, I'm gonna go over here. Let's go over here now and see where, this is far over in Americas, all right? But it's similar, and I'm saying it's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing, right? So you gotta factor in everything, people. Okay, you gotta factor in everything. This was ethnic cleansing, man. You know what I'm saying, so assimilation and Indian names. During the last part of the 19th century, the emphasis of the United States Indian policy was on assimilation. According to this philosophy, American Indians, just like other immigrants to the United States, you know what I'm saying, should assimilate into mainstream America. One of their concerns at this time was a lack of surnames among Indians. American Indians have often noted that non-Indians have an obsession with private property. Government concerns with Indian surnames stems from this concern. The concern for private property goes beyond the individual accumulation of property and includes the ability to pass this property on to property owner descendants, thus helping to create family fortunes. Family lineages are an important part of private property. In 1887, Congress passed the General Allotment Act, the Dawes Act, with the intent of assimilating Indians by making them land-owning farmers. The idea of the Dawes Act is to break up the reservation by giving each Indian family an allotment of land, similar to the homestead given to non-Indian settlers. In breaking the reservations up into individually owned allotments, the first step was to put together a tribal roll, right? So this is what they did, and they created, you know what I mean? This is where the confusion created, and this is where you got robbed of your estate. You know what I'm saying? Your land, okay? Regarding Indian names on tribal rolls, Source physician Charles Eastman wrote, original Indians had no family names, right? And confusion has been worse, confounded by the admission of the official roles by vulgar nicknames, incorrect translation, and English cognomens in, in injudiciously bestowed upon children in various schools. Government concern for Indian names, particular surnames, was directly connected with the allotments. The allotment came under authority and state inheritance laws. So this is how they control your land, people. All of these laws were based on Euro-American family relationships, and therefore the result was confusion if the allotee died intestate, and local officials had to determine the heirs. So they took your land, man. In 1890, the Commissioner of Indian Affairs ordered Indian names on the reservation to be changed so that each Indian would be given an English Christian name and retain the surname. Surnames were to be translated to English and shortened if they were too long. Care was to be taken to avoid translation of Indian names that might be offensive to non-Indians. New names were to be explained to the Indians. Okay, so these names are given. Okay, so one of the ways to create a new Indian surname was to use name of the father as the family name. This also meant that the Indian agents had to attempt to stop the traditional practice of assigning Indian names. This practice ignored the fact that many Indian nations were matrilineal, okay? So I'm going to catch up with you on another build, all right?